When it comes to iconic TV comedies, there's no shortage of classics. Seinfeld rewrote the rules. Friends became a global phenomenon. The Office brought cringe to the mainstream. And Curb Your Enthusiasm turned social awkwardness into an art form. But there's one show that's been running longer than all of them. A show that's crazier, stranger, and somehow even more hilarious. We're talking about It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. A show that dares to ask, what if the worst people you've ever met never grew, never learned, and never stopped yelling? Today, we're counting down 10 of my all-time favorite Sunny episodes, and trying to figure out which one is truly the funniest.
Bravo!
Enjoy.
Fantastic news! Good for you! Good for you!
It's Always Sunny doesn't just subvert the idea of a holiday special, it burns it to the ground. At number 10, in A Very Sunny Christmas, we watch the gang try to recapture some version of their childhood Christmas traditions, only to unravel in the process. The episode leans into surrealism, shock humor, and some of the most absurd visuals the show's ever done. But underneath all of that, it's surprisingly sincere. We see how deeply broken these characters really are, not just selfish, but shaped by messy upbringings and emotional blind spots they'd never dealt with.
Did you fuck my mom?
Charlie's meltdown at the mall, Mac's home invasion tradition, and Frank's rebirth from a leather couch might be some of the greatest physical gags in comedy show history, but all of these storylines point to something deeper. They don't know how to have a meaningful Christmas, so they destroy it instead. It's an episode filled with iconic moments, but what makes it stick isn't just the outrageous bits. It's how clearly we see the damage beneath the surface. This episode is bold, bloody, and brash, a perfect way to start the list. Number 9, we dive into Charlie and Dee Find Love. After invading the world of the wealthy, Charlie and Dee surprisingly find romance with a pair of clean-cut, upper-class siblings. At first, it feels like they've stumbled into something real, finally escaping the grime of Patty's for a taste of normalcy. But it doesn't take long for their dysfunction to surface. Charlie gets overwhelmed trying to keep up the act, while Dee becomes increasingly erratic. Meanwhile, Dennis, Mac, and Frank, terrified of being left behind, launch their own desperate attempt to help Charlie, but instead wind up ruining everything. Romance in the Sunny universe is doomed from the start, and this episode shows just how tragic and hilarious it is to watch these characters try to blend into a world they were never meant to be a part of. And Dennis's final monologue is a cherry on top, giving us an outrageous glimpse into their illusion of control.
You see, you thought you all could get together and play your little games. Have some fun, Invite some geeks to the ball. Swap some stories. Have a laugh.
Shot in the style of Making a Murderer and The Jinx, our 8th pick opens with a 911 call. Maureen Ponderosa, now living as a self-identified Catwoman, has been found dead in an alley, and Dennis is the prime suspect. What follows is a spiraling mockumentary that leans into true crime tropes, using slow zooms, ominous music, and questionable interviews to build a case that Dennis might actually be a killer. The brilliance is how close it all feels to believable. Not because there's hard evidence, but because Dennis's cold, calculated personality fits this profile a little too well. Even the gang starts to second guess him. It's one of the show's smartest experiments, hilarious, offbeat, and genuinely unsettling in a way only Sunny can be. And if you don't break out into laughter watching Dennis stare into the camera, are you really a fan of the show?
2 hours. Never moved. Never blinked. Gives me goosebumps just thinking about it.
Hey, you must be the new neighbors. Name's Wally Schmidt. No relation to Mike, but don't tell my wife.
At number 7, we have an episode that holds a special place in my heart. Because as someone who lives in the city, this one is especially relatable. Dennis and Mac move to the suburbs for cheaper rent, more space, and to win a bet, but quickly realize they are completely unequipped for the quiet, simplistic rhythm of suburban life. What begins as a fresh start slowly unwinds into an unhinged, terrifyingly funny descent into madness, filled with subtle noises, Mac's famous mac and cheese, and bad traffic.
Oh, God damn it! I don't care if you're old, seize the gap! You old fat bitch!
Their dynamic devolves with every meal, every car ride, every passive-aggressive exchange, until Dennis completely loses his mind.
Yeah. It's getting real hot around here. So hot, Wally. But you don't really know what hot is, do you? That's a storm. You ever been in a storm, Wally?
It's not just one of the funniest episodes, it's deeply relatable, painfully real, and a perfect example of how Sonny turns the smallest situations into complete psychological chaos that make us cry laughing.
Newsflash, asshole! I've been hearing it the entire goddamn time! Then why wouldn't you say something? Because I hate you! Oh.
At number 6, we have a classic, The Gang Dines Out. The entire episode takes place in one restaurant, where the gang shows up at 3 separate tables and proceeds to pretend they haven't noticed each other, while very obviously noticing each other. What follows is a perfectly petty game of one-upsmanship, driven by ego, insecurity, and the constant need for attention. Few moments in the series are funnier than Charlie and Mac's intense stare-off. Or Dennis standing up to give a toast, basically to himself, dripping with a desire for admiration.
He's the kind of man who gives me the courage to do an amazing double jackknife twist, which I did. Most of you people wouldn't even attempt that. I did it. And to go down on Chrissy Orlando on the trampoline later on the very same night, which I also did.
It's a phenomenal showcase of how Sonny finds brilliance in simplicity, letting the characters' dynamics carry the comedy with precision and absurdity. Hey, a quick break. If you're enjoying this video and love It's Always Sunny as much as I do, consider hitting the subscribe button. It helps more than you know and lets me keep making deep dives like this one. Alright, back to the madness. Breaking into our top 5 is one of the most iconic Sonny episodes ever, The Night Man Cometh. Charlie stages a rock opera based on his bizarre, deeply personal song, Night Man, and ropes the rest of the gang into performing it live in front of an audience. What follows is pure chaos. Frank can't get his lines right, Mac insists on rewriting his role, Dennis plays a little boy with way too much commitment, and Dee wants to make it clear she didn't write any of the play. But somehow underneath all the ridiculousness is something oddly epic. A desperate, misguided attempt by Charlie to win over the waitress with a musical proposal. It's unhinged, unforgettable, and a classic example of how Sonny can be hilarious, uncomfortable, and strangely heartfelt all at once. For our number 4 pick, we have one of the most quotable and purely ridiculous episodes in the series. Reynolds vs. Reynolds, the serial defense. After Frank crashes into Dennis's car while Dennis is eating cereal at a red light, the gang stages a full-blown mock trial inside Patty's to determine who's at fault. Dee serves as Dennis's widely unqualified lawyer. Charlie defends Frank with arguments based on gut instinct. And Mac, acting as judge and bailiff, thinks the entire case should be viewed through a lens of religion. What starts as a debate becomes a hilarious deep dive into Dennis's narcissism, Frank's bizarre childhood, and Mac's unwavering commitment to his worldview. It's a perfectly structured bottle episode that proves the gang can't even settle a minor traffic dispute without spiraling into delusion, yelling matches, and a complete breakdown of logic.
All the kids in the neighborhood knew I got sent upstate. So they started calling me Frankie Donkey Brains. And it was very traumatic. So I got my mommy to drive me back up to the loony bin where they signed this official certificate exonerating me of all donkey brains.
At number 3 is Frank's Little Beauties, a pitch-black satire of American pageant culture that might be sunny at its most depraved. After accidentally taking over a children's beauty pageant, Frank becomes hyper-fixated on making sure no one thinks he's a pedophile.
We gotta definitely write a song about how we do not diddle kids. Do not diddle kids, it's no good diddling kids.
There is no quicker way for people to think that you are diddling kids than by writing a song about it.
Which of course makes it all feel worse. He shows off his stage makeup, which was done by a mortician, a subtle callback to his role as the Penguin, and introduces the pageant with all the wrong energy.
Which one of these talented entertainers who I am not attracted to at all will be the winner? I'm not attracted to any of them. None of them. And that's the way it is.
Artemis cues the music, and the gang kicks things off with a disorganized but earnest group number before the kids take the stage. Dee sings a bitter song about bad parenting, while Dennis, Mac, and Charlie choreograph a shirtless techno rendition of their own. It's messy, insane, and completely off the wall. But Frank stands out as the episode's comedic powerhouse, and somehow, Sonny manages to walk the line between satire and shock with a confidence only the show could pull off.
Your nose is bleeding all over the place.
Do I look suspicious?
You look grotesque.
Coming in at number 2 is the gang tries desperately to win an award, the most self-aware episode in the entire series. It's Sonny directly confronting its own status as an outsider in TV comedy. Too weird, too chaotic, too loud for mainstream recognition, and using that outsider status to craft one of its most brilliantly funny episodes. The gang's desperate attempt to fit in and follow the so-called rules of popularity is both hilarious and a little tragic, revealing just how out of touch they are with other people, basic social norms, and even their own identity. And just when it seems like they might actually pull it off, Charlie's cocaine-fueled musical meltdown completely derails the night in the most unforgettable way possible. It's episodes like this that prove Sonny doesn't need awards to be brilliant, because it already knows exactly what it is, and refuses to be anything else. It was almost impossible to make a top 10, so before I dive into my number 1 pick, here are a few honorable mentions that are easily some of the funniest episodes of the series. Frank gets an intervention, Dennis looks like a registered sex offender, and the gang gets trapped. At number 1 is The Gang Gets Analyzed. Not just the funniest episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but the most revealing. When Dee brings the gang to her therapist under the pretense of addressing her issues, the floodgates open. Each member gets their own one-on-one session, and what follows is a perfectly distilled look at their anxieties, insecurities, traumas, egos, and complete inability to take responsibility for anything. From Dennis's manipulation, to Charlie's unorthodox routines and habits, to Mac's deeply rooted body image issues, the writing is sharp and the performances are outstanding. But the standout moment, and maybe the most unexpectedly moving in the whole series, is Frank's "You Unzip Me" speech. A monologue that's hilarious, deeply ridiculous, and filled with raw emotional vulnerability. In a scene less than 3 minutes, Frank goes from this,
I ain't talking about nothing. This skull is Fort Knox.
to this.
You unzip me. It's all coming back. It's all coming back. I hate you. It's all coming back, you understand? I don't like it. I don't like to think about it.
Giving us a side we've never seen before. As he opens up about his traumatic childhood, the words are completely absurd, but somehow he plays it with total sincerity. That's the magic of Danny DeVito. It's Sunny at its most stripped down, honest, and brilliant, and a perfect example of how 5 broken people can make for one perfect episode. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia might just be the funniest show to ever exist. It's loud, relentless, and completely unafraid to cross any line. But beneath all the chaos is some of the most tightly written, endlessly entertaining comedy ever put on TV. These 10 episodes are just a glimpse into what makes this show so special. And I feel lucky to live in the same time as Charlie Day, Rob McElhenney, Glenn Howerton, and Danny DeVito, because they've genuinely made my life a whole lot sweeter.
I like life in Patty's Bar.
Thanks for watching. Let me know your favorite Sunny episode in the comments, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe.